I saw a video recently. This guy was he was watching, and this was kind of parody of this situation. And he was watching, and it was like a new game was coming out, and he was watching the trailer, and it said, "Coming in 2025," and he was like, "Man," and then like he saw another one, and it said 2022, and he was like, "All right," and then like right after he did that, it added a one past the 22. He was like, 18,000 years.
Welcome listeners, gamers, non-gamers, PvEers, PvPers, and even NPCs. We do not discriminate. I'm Ovox.
And I'm Chuck Tomahawk.
And this is New Wave Gaming, and we're really happy to be here. I'm not sure what episode this is, to be honest with you, but I do know that, man, I really wanted to get back behind the mic and record another episode with you, Chuck.
Yeah, man, me too. It's been a nice little break, but feels good to be back in the saddle.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. I think this is episode 7. I'm excited. And yeah, and we're really happy to have all the listeners here. Thank you for tuning in. We got some interesting topics we want to talk about today. This is kind of like a new, something new we wanted to try out. We might call it New Wave DLC. And kind of what we were thinking of doing with these episodes that we might do maybe once a month. What do you think, Chuck T?
Yeah, sounds reasonable to me. A little DLC to boost the content.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months. But yeah, we're going to call it New Wave DLC, we think. And what we wanted to do was just kind of step off the path, deviate a little bit, and from our pillars of conversation, and just talk about things that we find interesting, that we're enjoying, maybe struggling with, maybe trending topics. Who knows? Quién sabe? But that's kind of the goal here with the DLC.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so what are some of the topics we got coming out? We have one main topic that I think Tomahawk is personally very close to. Some struggles that we're going to get into regarding Warzone shadow banning.
Yeah.
I can already see the sweat forming above your left eyebrow there, Tomahawk.
Back from the Shadowbanned.
Yeah, and I think you were checking out a pretty popular YouTuber that you actually you told me about. I'm gonna check out some of his videos. He was pretty funny. What's his name? Something about tats.
Tim the Tap Man. Yeah, one of the cool things about him is man, he was actually creating a show like on a sort of video camera before like streaming really existed. When he looks a lot younger in the videos, but yeah, I mean, I'm not here to say he invented it, but he was a kind of pioneer in that, and his content has gotten really good. And one of the things a lot of those streamers are doing is they're spectating folks now rather than just watching their play, and as it turns out that's actually almost more interesting.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, has this guy got like over 4 million subscribers or something like that just from like watching other people do what they do in Warzone? I'm sure his channel is much more depthful than that, but it is cool how doing those like reaction or spectating videos are quite popular, and you see a lot go down.
There's another guy that's one of my favorites called Sally is a Dog, and I feel like both of these guys have got some contacts at Activision. Sally is a Dog actually has his own skin, like he plays as himself in the game.
No way.
Yeah,
I didn't know that in Warzone.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, he's got glasses. It's a spitting image of him, and yeah, he does a lot of that where he'll follow folks around, and kind of spectate, and a lot of times they're watching the stream, so he'll be like talking to him, and he's like, "Hey, can you hear me?" And they'll shake their head. They'll shake the camera up and down, yes. And at that point, it's kind of helpful. I mean, he's offering his advice. Sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. It gets pretty interesting. But that's one of my fears is like I'm going to get spectated by a famous streamer because sometimes they'll get people that hide a lot. Kind of like I've been known to do at times. And it makes for not a lot of action, so they'll.
We don't hold it against you, Chuck T.
Yeah. He's like, boy, this guy seems conflict averse.
Is she in the right game? No. So we want to touch on that because it is an interesting topic, and our co-host here, Chuck T, kind of may have had his own experience with this, so that's going to be our main discussion here in a little bit. We're also going to talk about Arc 2, and we want to touch on a little bit of news before going on to those main topics, just some funny stuff that we ran into on the internets. Hey, before all of that, if you want to check us out on the social media, you can find us on Facebook. What is our thing on Facebook? I think it's facebook.com/New Wave Gaming Podcast.
That sounds right. I haven't
Does that sound right?
in front of me the last little bit, but yeah.
I just got back from vacation, man. I don't remember anything of the procedure here. We're just winging it at this point.
No, I was kind of catching up on that page too. Like, I think you've had some good information out there, like some trending news stories and stuff. Folks should definitely check that out. There's more than just our regular content there. So,
yeah, that's for sure. We definitely didn't open that up just to like share our content on there. It's mostly just a spot where we're sharing things that we find interesting about all kinds of gaming topics, old and new. Drop us a like there if you like. You can also reach us at ovoxandchuk @gmail.com. That's ovoxandchuk @gmail.com if you want to reach us directly. And if you have any advice, if you want to just shoot us a quick message telling us, about the content, any pointers, topics, questions, we're there, and we'll get back to you for sure. And whatever you happen to be listening to us on, if you can drop us a good rating, a review, something like that, we'll definitely shout you out here on the podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Not like my boss that used to tell me to direct my complaints to that brick wall over there.
Really? Damn, man. Is that for real?
Yeah, it's tough in the Forest Service, man.
Did he make you wear like a hat or anything? Like one of those pointy hats or something? No, I'm just kidding.
It's kind of a little green hat. They call it the pickle suit. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right. All right, let's get into it. What's this first thing, man? I gotta say, normally when I saw this, I was thinking the first thing that came to mind. This is nothing against Florida, but I saw that and I was like, Florida man, gets car and starts converting it into Nintendo, or starts using Nintendo equipment to convert his vehicle. But no, and that's in jest, of course. But what do we got here, Chuck T? Lay it on us.
No, like Florida man's a good one. I spent some time there in Florida. There's some like you'd be surprised at the different folks that are there. Around the beaches, it seems like they're all over the world. But in the center of Florida, there's actually like some real South there. So that's interesting. But I want to say this kid's name was Tyler Atkins, maybe, and he had put he started out with a Mazda vehicle there, and he turned
a Miata, right? I think it's a Mazda Miata.
He turned it into a Weata.
Yeah. Did you share this with me, or did I share it with you? I don't remember.
I think you shared it with me. Yeah.
Yeah, I got this hot. Now I remember. I got this. I was up in the U.S. and I saw this on a IGN feed. I got their news feed there on the phone, and I saw this and I was like, man, we definitely got to touch on this whenever we record next. Yeah. I mean, we got a guy. Yes, his name's Taylor Atkin, and I'm just gonna read a quick little part here from the NintendoLife.com article. It says, Go Nintendo has shared the work of TikTok star @TTPTNG. You can go and check these videos out directly, of course. And Tyler Atkin is his name. It says Tyler is attempting to revamp his car by using Wii peripherals. That means the steering wheel. The steering wheel is obviously the Wii wheel, but he hasn't stopped there, as Tyler has installed a fully functioning Wii into his dash. Has replaced the top of the shifter with a nunchuck, which that was the part that I thought was the most badass tomahawk. And has even changed part of the handbrake. You saw these, didn't you?
Yeah, I went and watched him, like actually on TikTok, and he seems to have gotten a good bit of following. You know, like it's almost sort of the folks that are watching are kind of putting ideals in the comments, and he's kind of taking them and run with them, and it's part of this sort of culture, like folks that are, you know, kind of pimping out their car, I guess you would say. Like he had this steering wheel thing. I saw other folks have it. It's like a removable steering wheel kind of thing, like race cars have, sort of.
Yeah. I can see pictures of it here. I'm looking at the article, and there's pictures. There's actually a video as well. I'm not going to throw that on right now, though. But yeah, there seems to be some sort of a special attachment device there where he can remove that Wii steering wheel and put on like a regular one. You know, just in case like he gets pulled over on the fly and needs to be like, oh shit, I'm sure this isn't street legal.
Yeah, I think that kind of opened the door for him to you know, attach that steering wheel, the Wii steering wheel, on there, and you know, then one thing led to another. And in the latest videos I've saw, he's got he's actually gotten a little screen in there now, and he's actually playing Mario Kart in the car, and it looks like a hell of a lot of fun. And it you know, I think too, like 3D printers have really opened up a lot of things like this. I didn't see him using one, but I have saw folks, you know, kind of in similar situations, like going that route. And it's really cool and interesting.
Like to use the 3D printers to recreate a peripheral of some sort of a console, even though it may not actually function, or do you mean like to create pieces to be able to adapt these peripherals to the car, like special pieces and stuff like that? Special
pieces, yeah. And I've saw folks, they're actually they're taking that 3D printer and they're making like say they're playing Flight Simulator, and they'll take a 3D printer and make some levers and plastic parts of sorts that you add to your PlayStation controller, and now you've got two sticks, like a plane flying, that control the analog sticks.
No way.
Yeah, they're making that stuff on their own. I'm sure the blueprints are out there. It's just a matter
of having... man. Are you for real?
No, I'm not kidding at all. Like I saw a guy like actually made a wheel. Like he made a wooden one even. Yeah. There's a lot of mods out there. You know,
was it a Florida man?
Just 3D print. Yeah. Coastal, straight from the center. His name was Gator.
Oh, gosh. Gator from Florida. Oh, I love it. Hell yeah. Man, so gosh, so I thought this was cool.
Dude, this took me back to something that I'm not sure you remember the show, but there was a show called Pimp My Ride, and
of course I remember that. Yeah,
the rapper Exhibit was the host, and like. At this point in time, there are TikTok videos where they'll go back and they'll review one of these episodes, and the whole premise of the TikTok video is like, what in the world were they thinking? Like they take this guy that has like, you know, not even a new car, and he's like, you know, they tell his story like he's kind of down on his luck, and he'll just like offhand mention like he likes to shoot pool or something like that, and they'll pimp his ride, like, and they'll put a whole pool table or something in the back of his van, you know, which like is really cool right there when they're talking, but like in practical sense, it's like the latest one I saw, the guy said he liked gambling. And he had to pull a lever to get in his side door on his van, and then the exhaust pipe had a thing that shot cards out of it, like, and, you know, which was cool, but it was like, what in the world? And so what, you know, the reason I mentioned all this is I remember on that game or on that show, they would every now and then they would either put a computer or some video games, you know, in the person's car, and that was my favorite parts of that. I remember once there was this guy, he had like the past generation's console, and they were like, "Man, you're still playing that?"
Yeah.
Like, PlayStation 2 is like the PlayStation. Yeah, they're like the PlayStation 4 is out, and like, so they hooked him up, and got him all straightened up. But as I was kind of researching that and refreshing my memory on it, I was surprised that I didn't remember that there was actually a Pimp My Ride video game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you could theoretically go back and probably put consoles in a car on your console. I imagine. So
I'm checking right now.
Yeah, I don't think it did super well. Like, it wasn't super popular, and one of the things this TikTok videos will point out is they'll kind of like exhibit out in the background, like it sometimes when they're revealing this stuff, and you can see the look on his face, like he's just like, this is crazy. He's yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Pimp My Ride is a simulation racing game published by Activision. Oh, Chuck, your boys over at Activision.
They're boys. The Atari rejects.
This game is based on the popular MTV show of the same name. It was released in 2006 for the Wii, Xbox 360, PlayStation Portable, and PlayStation 2 consoles. It was panned for its awful physics, lack of replay value, and repetitive gameplay. Damn.
Bam. Nailed it. Yeah, I have to say the show's kind of there too, but this guy, I liked how he was getting his audience involved. Like I see folks doing that on TikTok and kind of responding to the comments, and sometimes it goes in a bad direction, like people get hurt by things that are said or whatever. But this seemed like everybody was kind of enjoying the thing. And the last thing I saw there, he's at this point where he doesn't know whether to do another car or like add more consoles to this car. And that led me to the thought of like, what else like could you do? And, I think one of the first things I thought was, could we have a PlayStation 4x4 or, the PlayStation wagon possibly?
Mm-hmm. Oh man. Oh yeah. There we go. That's a hit right there.
Next by Subaru.
PlayStation wagon. You heard it here first, folks.
Dude, as a child, my mom still reminds me of this. I wanted a green station wagon. I told them that I wanted a blue house and a green station wagon, and apparently everywhere we drove, I pointed them out. And I have a blue house now, so I just need my PlayStation wagon. A family truckster there would be pretty nice.
Hey, get after it, man. You're on TikTok. Just like, hey, I'm coming at you, Tyler Atkins.
Then I thought about, remember that there was a vehicle called the Geo Tracker? It's
I do remember that thing.
You could make the Neo Geo Tracker.
Oh man. So yeah, this is an interesting story. I think they were like some people were wondering like what's going to come next, if they're going to do another vehicle with another type of console, maybe PlayStation or something like that, Xbox. But there's not much more to this story. It's just really cool. And you can check it out. Again, the TikTok thing is, well, Chuck, you're on TikTok. How does that work? How do folks follow Tyler if they want to check out his little Nintendo whip?
I think the easiest thing is just like his username was something like PTTNG or something is what I ended up like typing in.
Yeah.
But
okay, that's I have that here. It says at TTPTNG.
Yeah, if you type that in the search part of there, you'll see him, and you can follow him from there, and get his new videos as they come out, and yeah, and the funny thing is like that'll also like this algorithm is it's pretty slick. Like it'll figure out you like video games just from that, and it'll put some content your way.
Yeah.
So
they got to keep you watching, man.
Yeah, it surprises me sometimes. Like I'll see something that I'm not interested in, and then as I watch it, I'm like, well, maybe I am.
What do you know?
Algorithm, take the wheel.
Take my data, baby. Yeah. Oh man. So what else do we got, man? The next topic we wanted to bring up was about a legend. A true legend with a capital L. In fact, the whole word probably is spelt with all capitals, of a legend. John Romero.
Yeah.
What's he mostly known for?
Creating Doom.
Yeah.
Quake.
Doom. Quake. And I think he was involved in the first Wolfenstein, but don't quote me on that.
He's actually responsible for scaring the crap out of Chuck Tomahawk on a number of occasions. Is what I'm thinking. I haven't recovered from the scars of the original Doom at this point. Like, pretty sure I was over at my buddy's house one time and went out to pee and outside and thought I saw some of those Doom characters after me. So I haven't been the same since, really.
Really?
Yeah, when I see his games, man, it's a little unnerving. Like, you know, I mean, they're interesting. It definitely draws me in. You know, I mean, you got a pioneer here, like a legend in gaming. But yeah, the vibe is a pretty. It's kind of headed down that Dark Souls road, you know.
Dude, I feel you, man. I feel you because I remember playing those games when I was extremely young, and they had already been out for some time. So when I got my hands on them, I think I was seeing versions that, in some regard or another, had already been like. You know, polished a bit more. Like they were, you know, it was a smooth experience playing Doom and Quake and stuff like that. I don't remember what consoles I played them on, but I got to play them. And I also just remember feeling a tremendous amount of anxiety playing Doom, man, just because you never knew what was coming around the corner.
Yeah.
And you know, you had to continue you had to keep going, and you'd run into some crazy, scary creatures, man.
You know, as I remember, that first game was sort of like you got this free part and you made it to where you were essentially going into hell, you know, and you had to buy after that point. And, you know, once you got down there in hell, like, you know, it was, I don't know. There was just something that was scary enough and real enough to me that it kind of it steers me away from these games just a little bit. And you know, I think as I was looking at this story, one of the things that stood out for me is just, you know, they're kind of talking about this Unreal 5 engine, and that sort of led me to, you know, I think want to know a little bit more about that and what that means. Did you get a chance to look at it? You know, and kind of what that entails,
well, so I don't think we actually mentioned what John Romero's up to, but he's had this plan for some time, and I think his I don't know if it's his wife or it's his girlfriend, but it's a lady with the same last name as him. They've got Romero Gaming, I think it's the name of their studio, and they've been making, or you know, scheming on making games. She made a game, I don't remember what it was called, something of Sins. And
Empire of Sin, yeah.
Empire of Sins, that's it. And she made that. She designed that game. They released it. It did all right. But I know that John himself, according to some articles that I saw, he's been planning on this game for some time. And yeah, it says here, I'm looking at the PlayStationLifestyle.net article released a couple of days ago, July 19th this year. A new John Romero game announced. Doom creator is making an FPS with major publisher. And indeed, he in his I think it was on Twitter, but he announced they're going to be doing it on the Unreal Engine 5 or Unreal 5 engine. Sorry, something like that.
I think I saw that sort of term AAA or major studio. I think, you know, get thrown out there, and it's almost come to the point when I see that now. I think. You know, kind of more like say in the movie industry where you've got sort of the blockbuster, like your, you know, superhero movie, blockbuster type style movie. And, you know, you sort of, it kind of puts you in a genre almost, or, you know, there's some baggage that comes with that, like kind of what we expect in a game like that. And yeah, it made me wonder. I didn't see a lot of details about exactly what this game's premise was, and you know, other than being a first-person shooter, and you know, we would assume it kind of will work in some ways, you know, as the other games have. But I think for me, I'm not sure I'll play this one. I think you know, it'll be on my radar, and if I start really hearing something,
Yeah.
you know, it'll attract me to it. It'll kind of make.
Yeah. No, agreed. it's, gosh, it's hard to say because I haven't really played or seen anything from the Romero Games Studios. Well, I haven't played anything from that studio, but I did play Doom and Quake, of course. And I think that was when he was part of IP, the developer IP, I think was what it was called back in the day. Mm-hmm. And but I just found this to be an interesting news article because it could potentially be something very amazing. But it's just so fresh. There's actually no more news than that. That we got legendary John Romero and his team from Romero Games. They're working on an all new FPS. And what I found interesting as well is that it's so fresh that they're actually hiring. So like if you're a programmer or a designer or into the arts and stuff like that, into this type of jobs, mm-hmm. you could potentially work with these guys, and that would be fascinating. That would be really cool. It says Romero Games is hiring for all new FPS. Join the team. It's a new dawn for Romero Games. We're working with a major publisher to develop John Romero's next shooter, an all new FPS with an original new IP. Our team is expanding, and we're looking for talented people for all positions and at all experience levels, particularly, gosh, I can't speak right now, those with Unreal Engine 5 experience.
Yeah, I probably should have asked first, but I went ahead and shot your resume over there for the multiplayer, in charge of multiplayer for North America.
For bagging on my squad mates?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I looked at some of the. I think it even said something, no experience necessary, up toward the like at some place I saw in there, and as I read those job description, I was like, I could probably get these people coffee, maybe. But,
I mean, it'd be fun just to work around them and see how they do all that stuff, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe you go in and you work for free or something just to get some experience and see, But I think it's interesting that we're kind of like almost fanboying a little bit about a game developer here. And one of the things that I kind of took away from that Unreal Engine is that with a lot of the actual scanned in things and the tools that they've given folks in there, it's kind of emphasizing creativity rather than, in the past, I think, I don't know, when I thought of a game developer, I thought of a nerd, somewhere that's, really good at computers, but maybe doesn't have much of a personality or a creative side, so much to them. Mm-hmm. But I like the ideal of developers being able to focus on creating an experience and mechanics in the game, in addition to, instead of, having to program a mountainside or, like because of memory somehow, or, those kind of things.
You mean because of the capabilities of the Unreal Engine?
Yeah. I see some pros and cons there. It was funny as I went, I watched this, it was sort of like the folks from Unreal's sort of unveiling thing. It was almost like Steve Jobs style, where they were up on a little stage. And
you saw that? That was a cool video.
Yeah, and I thought it was funny how you could see those guys weren't super comfortable being up in front of the camera talking, but they got their message across. But it definitely seemed inspired by Apple's sort of unveiling type things. But one of the things that crossed my mind, I think they have this thing in there called Lyra or something that's kind of like almost like got a game already that's sort of save you some time kind of thing. Like if you're going to make a shooter, there's things you're going to need like guns and stuff that they've already got in there. But man, I swear, I started on this game called Splitgate here a few months ago. I was looking for some new games on Steam, and I downloaded something called Splitgate, and I really recognized like things from the Lyra as we were running around, like as they were kind of demonstrating that. And I thought, is this homogenizing games in some ways? Like if everyone's using this, does it?
I mean, what do you mean exactly? Like, do you think?
I guess it's just.
Is everyone going to start using Unreal Engine 5?
And are we going to start seeing similarities in games that are made from it? And I think yeah, I just as he sort of was showing this process of how you build a staircase and things. I'm sitting here like, and I'm looking at him like, I almost can kind of like see a level here in Call of Duty or more the multiplayer side of Call of Duty than the larger open world type Warzone situation. But yeah, it just made me think. Yeah, is there a downside to this? Is there something we'll start seeing all games that are the same kind of thing?
Maybe. I mean, I just think it's the next evolution in Unreal's engine, and if it happens that a lot of creators and developers start using that engine, it'll be a great time. It'll be a great environment to see what those developers are capable of creating with the new engine. Like you said, it's different. I think two of the features of this new engine is, one of them is called Nanite, I believe, and the other one is the one that you mentioned. What's it called? Lumix or
Lyra, I think.
Something like that. It's something with an L.
Lyra. Yeah.
Sorry. But anyways, the Nanite one, it's fascinating because, and I'm probably going to mess this up, but essentially what it does is allow the developer or the creator to put a lot of different stuff, a lot of information on one single screen, at one moment, right? So I remember them mentioning, like, they were in that same video that you were talking about. They got to a part where there was the guy mentioned that there were like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of statues in this open room that the little game character walked into. I think the character was like a girl. She walks into this huge tomb and there's just tons and tons of statues. And the guy was saying something along the lines of there being like, there's like 100 billion polygons in here. And I remember just going, what? What? Yeah. Just totally like boggled and mind blown. And especially because, I think like a month ago we were talking about another video game that was very, like, it was tip of the spear technology at the time, and they were only using like dozens or hundreds of polygons. So to talk about that, which was only maybe like 20 years ago or 15 years ago, to go to this Unreal 5 with billions and millions and billions of polygons and triangles, that's just mind-boggling. And part of that nanite technology that enables that and allows that, the other side of that coin is that while they're able to have all of that stuff on one single screen, it's not taxing your system. It's not like, it's not just like, if you're on a PC, it's not just like completely heating it up and the fans are just, and you're not going to hear your PlayStation just vamping up from a mile away, and you know what I mean? So it enables them to have all of that information and at the same time not tax out your system, not overrun it or, overload it. And that's just so cool.
Yeah, I certainly feel like the pros outweigh the cons here, but as I was sort of looking through it, I did think of that, but there was another section in there, I think, where they were showing like where they had actually like scanned in photographs of so many things, and you had this like just image, like data bank of images that you could access. And then they were also creating an app where you could take your phone. I think the example they used, there was a girl there and she was like putting her own chair into the game, essentially, as she was developing it, and kind of scanned her chair in with her phone.
That's the other huge characteristic of Nanite is that the way that they get all of that information into the video game is different now, I guess. And this is another thing I'm probably going to completely mess up. Listeners, you got to see this video that they released. It's been out for a while now. You may have already seen it, then you know exactly what we're talking about. But if you haven't seen it, check it out. Just look for the Unreal Engine 5 what is it called? A presentation or unveiling or something like that on YouTube, and you'll find it. Yeah, check it out. But so apparently they kind of they don't have to do all of this design work and creation of everything that they want to put into the game. They don't have to like build it from square one or from the ground up. They basically can just create it, separately, potentially an artwork and another program or whatever, and upload it into the game, which basically just cuts out a whole bunch of time. I don't know how they do that. I know it's probably more complicated than that, or potentially way more simpler than that. But basically, like you said, like that person just uploaded the chair into the game, and boom, there it is, and they can work around it, and that's just fascinating. So, tying that back into our boy John Romero, you know, I wish him all the best. It looks like they are still hiring people, so there's a long way to go, but. Obviously, he's certainly capable of creating an amazing game, and it looks like he's in dealings with a huge publisher. So it might be something very successful, fun, replayable. Hell, it could be the next, you know, Warzone in terms of addictiveness. Depends on how scary it is for me. Would you agree, Chuck? Too?
Yeah, I can't do nightmares, but I'm you know. A certain, you know, new gameplay, something along those lines, I'll definitely get in there, and be interesting to see what happens. I'm invested at this point. I feel like just sort of looking at it, and also like as this engine unveils, one of the things of that video they had made, I think as a demo, this Matrix Awakens game, and I've been just pacing the floor waiting for the new Matrix game, and they've kind of teased it on Xbox a couple times. We thought it was going to be announced pretty recently, and it just hasn't happened yet, but I really enjoyed the original Matrix games. They had that
I played
bullet
one of them
time
once.
type thing, like where when someone shot at you could dodge the bullets, like you could slow time down and dodge the bullets, and man, it was so much fun.
Oh man.
Yeah, so hopefully
Who didn't want to be Neo, right? No, I want to be Neo. No, I want to be. No, just kidding.
You can be Trinity. I definitely, you know, kind of want to see that. I'd love to just watch the demo or you know, some game footage of that, and a chance to play it. And kind of as they were pointing out in there, I saw some crossover where, you know, kind of some of the special effects they're doing for movies. It's the same program. It's that same Unreal Engine that's creating, you know, some of the computer generated CGI, I get computer generated images that we see. I you know, they point out like it's indistinguishable from reality.
I saw I don't know if it was a Game Ranks, but I did see a video where they were just listing like 15 things, I think, that the Unreal Engine 5 had that were created by just developers and creators out there. They just submitted it or made their creations with the Unreal Engine 5, and photorealistic, man. Just like it looked. Oh, sorry, I got a little hiccup stuck. It looked like a movie scene. It looked cinematic. You know, it looked like you were looking at something that was in real life. It was amazing what they can do with this engine. Yeah, and again, I don't think there'll be any negatives. If anything, you know, there's going to be other engines out there getting developed they're going to try and compete with that, if anything. And I think that the developers and game developers that do use it, they're going to find their own ways to extract every juice, every drop of energy, every drop of potential out of that engine. So let them at it, you know?
Yeah. I think something that's kind of associated with this that might be a way, you know, to kind of move on into some of the other topics that we had talked about is sort of, do you feel like at times that games get announced like you know, it'll say, you know, coming soon in 2023 or whatever, and it's really common for that to be added to, and they'll also like announce them, I feel like just a little too far out. Like, you know, it's like coming in 2025, and I saw a video recently. This guy was he was watching, and this was kind of parody of this situation. And he was watching, and it was like a new game was coming out, and he was watching the trailer, and it said, "Coming in 2025," and he was like, "Man," and then like he saw another one, and it said 2022, and he was like, "All right," and then like right after he did that, it added a 1 past the 22. He was like, 18,000 years. no. And that's what it feels like. You know, like we just found out.
And then a 1 comes down. Where did you see that? You gotta send that to me, man. I gotta find that.
Yeah, it was great, man. It kind of clued me into that, and it happens, and you know, I think we're going to talk about Arc 2 here in a minute, and you know, we were getting 2022 for Arc 2, and now we're getting 2023, and you know, it's interesting how that works, but yeah, I'm excited to see where this what John pulls out for us.
Yeah, we got to keep following that. Sorry, I was just making a note real quick. We got to follow that. Keep everyone posted. We'll keep posted. We'll keep y'all posted, and we'll see what gets announced. Right now, there's a lot of ground to cover. But yeah, best of success to Romero Games, to Mr. John and Brenda Romero.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they are married. Founded by John Romero and his wife, Brenda Romero, and they're based in Galway, Ireland.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that is a great segue on Unreal Engine 5, because our beloved Arc, and in this case Arc 2, is going to be on the Unreal Engine 5. And I remember seeing that trailer, and it looked so beautiful. And it wasn't a gameplay trailer, but it did look amazing. And what was particularly eye-opening was seeing Vin Diesel's face on that T-Rex. Like, what? I mean, can we talk about that first real quick? It still like makes me kind of just like scratch my head. Like, and check this out. I read in an article, it might be in this article here actually, everything you need to know about Arc 2. He's actually like a true fan of the game, man. He's put in hours into Arc, and he's like truly involved with the development of the game. When I first heard that, I kind of was like, yeah, I mean, he's probably like contributing or, you know, participating in some regard, but he's actually like the president of a major department of the development of the game.
That is a bit surprising. I've found over the years, you know, gamers surprise me sometimes, like who they are. There was this guy I worked with that I would have never guessed, you know, and at some point he was a smoke jumper, and I got to know him, and I asked him what he did, you know, in the wintertime, and he was like, man, I play games all day. I was like, what? It's
so you jump into fires and play video games?
I think it's cool about our community, you know, that there's a lot of diversity out there, and in different things that bring folks in.
You mean in the Forest Service?
Yeah, I mean in video games.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Like in gaming in general, you know, and I don't know a lot about Vin Diesel personally. You know, I guess I've saw him as a character in movies, and you know, kind of enjoyed him. I haven't done the Fast and Furious movies as much as other ones. I remember him as this character Triple X at some point. I kind of liked. And
well, I think there's only like 2. You should be able to knock them out in a few hours.
Yeah, two seasons.
200.
Yeah. Fast and Furious 9. Now we're on foot. Like,
oh man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Vin Diesel's in it. I'm looking at a picture of him here. He's got all this like ink on his shoulder. He's all tatted up with like blue, like tribal type colors. He's got, you know, a bone necklace on, a bone headband type thing, and a long stick with a spear, you know, like a spear type of device. And he's fighting off some weird like cannibals or something. And but I think what we really wanted to cover here was something that is a little bit disturbing to myself as a huge Ark fan. I'm a huge fan of Ark Survival Evolved, the first installment of this, you know, game. And I've probably put more hours into Ark than any other game. It's definitely my all-time favorite game, and it's near and dear to me. And I was scrolling there on the YouTubes and saw a, what's his name, Chuck D? He's a great, Nublitz. Great content creator for Ark on YouTube. Like he's got all those how-to videos and stuff like that. I've definitely checked out a few of his vids, especially when trying
me a
to
lot of what I know.
Yeah. Shout out to Nublitz and his team. But anyways, he has a video that said like, you know, why Ark 2 might fail or something like that. So obviously I clicked on that with a lot of anxiety, to be quite honest. It's like, no, why has Nublitz got a video named like that? So we get in there and basically, long story short, it says that they had announced that this game is only going to be in third person. And additionally, that they were going to change the mechanics in what seems to be a big way, making it a Souls-like, and I think they're talking about Dark Souls, right? A Souls-like melee combat game. And I don't know where to begin.
You know, I went through a lot of emotions with this too, and you know, I think it's important to note that Nublitz points out at the beginning of his video that he's making this video with the intent of helping the game because he cares and he wants it to be better. He's not just, you know, being a pain in the butt or, you know, trying to you know, put people down or anything like that. So you know, I definitely, that opened me up to look at it with sort of an open mind. But as I looked at it,
no, Chuck T. There are no open minds here. It has to have first person, and it cannot be a Souls-style fighting game.
I'm not as worried about the things that he's worried about. Is probably the nicest way I can put it. You know, that's kind of my hot take on this. Is if you never knew Ark 1 existed, and I said, hey, you know, Ovox, they're making a game in the Unreal Engine 5 and there's dinosaurs and you can tame them. Like, and you know, you're not going to ask me like, is it in first person?
Fist pump would. And I know there's other people out there that would. In fact, they're going to hear this and they're going to write in now and they're going to curse you out, Chuck T, just for saying, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
Well, I'm going to start. I'll do the rest of this podcast in third person. Chuck Tomahawk don't have to take no crap from nobody. Chuck Tomahawk likes games in any person that he can tame dinosaurs in.
Yeah. Copy that. Hey, put away the
it's
bola,
not so
man.
bad.
Put away the bolas.
It's not so bad, you know. And yeah, I definitely want to finish that thought. But as far as the third person, to me, it seems fairly easy to fix too. Like if you go in there now and look at sort of what you can do with the camera and things like that, it kind of blows my mind that it won't be in there somehow anyway. And he kind of acts like you're going to be like the third person is you 40 foot tall. But if you really look at it's not that different. Like the view is right behind your head essentially. So the dinosaurs still look huge to me.
No, man, it's different. Like, well, I guess it depends on how immersed you naturally, you know, and just as a person naturally get with games. Like, I remember the first time I ever played Ark, you know, I spawned in on, what was the very first map that Fist Pump and I spawned in on? I think it was either the center or the island. I'm going to say it was the island, like was the very, very first. But anyways, point is the very first time I spawned in, like, you know, you wake up on the beach and like you see the sun and all like the open skies and just the huge open area and all the trees and the way with the great soundtrack, or what's that called? What's the right way to call it? The score?
Yeah.
The score or soundtrack, you know, the music was just so perfect for the moment. And man, a lot like the actual official trailer. I remember like just seeing these dinosaurs and I was just going, what? You know, just it was very impactful for me. I remember feeling goosebumps on my arms. And then from there, it was just one thing after another, just complete like immersion and that feeling in your body where you're just completely in the game. You feel like you're part of the game and you're fighting off these creatures. You're fighting off the elements and, you know, you're just trying to figure out how to like, God, how do I craft a simple pick? you know, and just that whole the whole dynamic, the whole way they set that up, the developers, you know, the game is so perfect, man, in so many ways. Like the DNA of Ark Survival Evolved is perfect. It's like a mutant of games in its own way. It's like somebody like took the DNA of the perfect game and created it in a lab and said, this is going to be the DNA of the perfect game. And then Wildcard Studios did it. And I'm talking DNA because Ark Survival Evolved certainly has bugs and issues. It certainly does.
You know, I think there's an assumption here that we're not sort of putting out there, is that the game will remain static. Let's say they do make it third person only, and you know there's that backlash that he's predicting possibly, and you know, I feel like they'll add it later if it becomes that much of an issue. And the only reason I can think that they might do that is sort of, you know, the other thing I feel like we should talk about here is that they're revisiting the mechanics, one of which is sort of the combat, and it's going to have some lock-ons and things like that Nublitz was concerned about, and
Ugh,
you know,
cringe.
like his example is like you're running from several predators and you know you're locking onto all these things, but I've never saw a system like that couldn't be turned off or its sensitivity be changed in some ways. Like I feel like the Fallout games, you ever play any of the Fallout games?
I haven't.
I've only played a little bit. I got one as a birthday present once, and that combat to me is like what if it was like that, I would be worried. Like it's almost like has a Dungeons and Dragons feel to me at times. Like it's not so much live action as it is sort of like, it's very slow. Like it's kind of like I almost pick like what I can do and throw it at you and it plays it out rather than me like sort of doing,
yeah.
You know, sorry to hit the mic there, but yeah, it's a weird combat system, and I had a hard time adapting to it, and I think there's probably ways to adjust the settings in there even that I didn't know about at the time that might have made my experience better, but it turned me off. And I almost feel like that's probably why they've done this. Like, as you see, as I think he was calling it, he was comparing it to Elden Ring, like where they're sort of rolling around and locking on to different targets. And I liked the ideal of I think in that he mentions that you might have sort of like, say, like a special move or something. Let's say like you get a combo in on a dino or something like that. Like, you know, I do feel like at times, like I'm grossly underpowered for what I'm fighting. So I could, you know, if I could
we can't have that style and have the perfect DNA that I just described in the same game. It can't be that way and then the other way. Unless you're right, unless they put in an off button. Like the Souls melee combat thing, put in an off button. Third person, put in an off button.
Yeah, I think it'll be in there. Like, and if not, mods will create it anyway. Like, we're not playing on the way they intend it now. You know, we typically play on modded stuff anyhow. So, you know, I feel like it'll be all right. I think, you know, for all the reasons that you stated in the beginning of why we love this game, it'll be there. I'm going to buy it, you know, even if I don't ultimately turn out to like it. So I think, you know, hopefully that at least gets it out there and
nope,
you know,
I'm not going to buy it no more. I'm not going to buy it no more. Hell with them. I don't want it. No, I'm just playing. I'm gonna see. I'm not gonna buy it right away anymore. We'll see what happens. There's still a lot of time. But if that's, you know, like, part of the Ark Survival Evolved experience in there is that everyone's kind of on the same level, at least in the very beginning, and they're on the same level in terms of the mechanics of the melee and the mechanics of the PvP. So something that concerns me about the Souls-like melee and targets locking and all that stuff is I think it's going to make just the natural flow of PvP and the you know, there's a lot of, it takes a lot of skill in Arc, especially on console and with how, the frames per second and all that stuff. You really there's skill behind it. And sometimes there's no skill at all. Sometimes it's just unlucky. Sometimes, as we say, anyone that plays Arc will know this, sometimes you just get arced.
Yeah.
And, you might die or whatever. But if my character's locking onto stuff while I'm trying to defend myself from another PvP or something like that, I'm trying to think of the scenarios and it doesn't make sense in my head. It doesn't flow.
Yeah. I do feel like, I'm going to trust that they love the game like I do, the people that are making it, and they're going to make it good, because I can sort of see the other side of this, especially like in sports games. Like somebody that's played, 30 years worth of John Madden at this point, sometimes you get Madden 21 and Madden 22, there's no difference. And people say that all the time, of just sort of like, why are we doing this again? And I think if the news was that nothing was changing, I would also not really be that thrilled about it. I would ask the question, then why make another game? Maybe just make another map for the current game. So I kind of like that they're doing this, and I think the cream will rise to the top. If there's something that's just jacked up, we'll let them know, and they'll fix it, because they've evolved the other game. So
no, I'm gonna continue to be unbending, unreasonable, and unfair. No. I'm just playing. You're right. I mean, it's still early. It's going to release in 2023, so we'll see what they'll. Yeah, 5. Next decade.
18,000 years.
But no matter what, I'm going to end up getting it too. It's going to be on the Unreal Engine 5, so it's going to look amazing.
I think there's something significant to that. I don't mean to interrupt, but we previously we had talked about this, and I felt like the news that this was coming out on PC first. But one of the things I noticed about the Unreal Engine 5 is that it pretty much has things ready to go for all consoles and even mobile and PC. If you use that, that work is done for you in some respect, I imagine. So that might mean that they release simultaneously, and I want to say he said something like that in the video.
Well, we're not going to get it on PlayStation out of the gate. It's actually an Xbox exclusive, and it will release on PC as well. I think they're going to copycat what they did back in when they released Ark Survival Evolved. It only came to PlayStation after the exclusivity period ended with Xbox. And that's fine. That's totally understandable. But look, my final comment on this, even though it probably won't be the final comment, is that they already have the DNA for an amazing game. In my opinion, it's perfect. And I know that there's plenty of players of it that have probably sent in information to Wildcard. I'm sure they have their own creative team there, always thinking about stuff that can be added to the game that they already have. And I think that if they just took the DNA from Ark Survival Evolved, built on it, made it, brought in more stuff to do, or more, who knows what, and fixed the bugs that Ark Survival Evolved has, like remove those bugs, use the full potential of this new engine to completely wipe all those bugs out. Like the thing where you pull your bow out and it will not load an arrow. Or there's an arrow, just that stuff. Little holes in the map where you get stuck and you can't get out. Just all those little bugs. If they just fixed those, completely wiped them out, built on the original DNA of the game that they already know is extremely successful, that continues to have tremendous amount of players always on there, even today. They do a great job, man. They keep content coming our way all the time on Ark Survival Evolved. We just got Fjordur. And it's an amazing map. I'm in love with this map. Mm-hmm. Playing Fjordur with you has been so much fun lately.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. And I think if anything, I lean just a little bit more where I'm just going to trust the process and I'll kind of use the example that Nublitz used there. He mentioned that they had released this game called Atlas, and that was essentially like a sequel to Ark. And I went and looked at that game, and you're not taming dinosaurs. You're not taming dinosaurs.
Well, I don't think it was a sequel. I think it was just they tried to use that DNA to in a pirate type of game or something like that, and it didn't work out.
It definitely had this, where basically the goal of the game was to survive, but it didn't have the taming, and to me that's what brings me back to Ark, and I played that game Sea of Thieves. I mean, it's fun to be a pirate for a little bit, but not like Ark, not like when I can tame stuff. So I feel like his intentions are good here, and he's wanting to make the game better, and I'm glad that obviously in a high profile way that feedback is out there. And just excited to see what rolls out the pipe, and I'm going to play it regardless, I think. But what'll tell the tale is after it's been out for say 6 months, am I playing that or am I going back and playing Ark 1?
That will tell the tale.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how all of us, the fans, the diehard fans of Ark, all of us that just continue to play on that, it keeps bringing me back, man. Even if even when we got wiped when we were on that PvP server, a couple of weeks went by and I was right back there like, hey, Don, what server are you on? Yeah. What cluster are you on, Chuck?
Yeah.
What cluster are you on, Nick?
Left. Like I never even, it's. Yeah, I know you've got more time in on it, so it's a little fresher, newer to me, but I'm addicted to it like nothing else, and yeah, just excited to see where this goes, and glad they're making new things, and
yeah, but hey, wild card, keep the original DNA, fix the bugs, and you guys will kill it. I swear, we'll all be there, and I'm sure a lot of new coming fans of Ark will be there. Just or add an off button for these new things that you want to add in that are completely different from the original DNA of Ark Survival Evolved. Por favor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please.
Pronto.
Y rápido.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
All right. So now that I've gotten all my anger out and my frustration, I'm just kidding. Do you have any frustrations and angers you want to get out, Chuck T?
A little
Mr.
bit.
AKA Shadowbanned.
Yeah, free
AKA,
Chuck T.
Free Chuck T.
I'll just kind of lay it out there. Recently we were playing some multiplayer, and we pretty much were sure we had a cheater in the lobby. I was actually having some...
Tell everyone what we were playing, just so that we're all...
we were on Rebirth Resurgence, I think, and we had a 4-man team, a 4-man squad.
Warzone.
Yeah, and I think for somehow my mic had got set to push to talk, and I couldn't communicate with y'all, but I could hear you, and I could hear what you guys were talking about. That one guy was cheating, and I can't say it really just hit me that way right away, but I did get kind of shot through a wall not very long after that, and was like, okay, that's a little weird, and but it's still like I think maybe Full Metal Jacket, could have done that, possibly, and yeah, I think I heard someone say like, well, I'm reporting him, and right about that moment, like I think as a possible like we finished that match, and as a way to maybe fix what was going on with my microphone, I just reloaded. And when I went to do that, I got a text message that asked me to put this code in, like to get back into Blizzard, which was just incredibly unusual. Like I've never had it do that, but it...
that happened? I didn't know that. I don't think you told me that part.
Yeah, so I get this message, and it's legit. Like it's. I went through a similar process later as I was trying to fix this problem. And... I didn't really think much of it then, and I think we continued to play a couple more matches. We got the audio fixed, and I was able to talk to y'all. We had a good time, and things were over. And I think even that afternoon, I think you guys had to go on about what you were doing, and I still had a little bit of time, and I thought I'm gonna jump back in, and went to do a solos match, and I just couldn't find it, and it wouldn't find a match. It would just continually increase the ping. It started around 30 and just kept going up, kind of in increments of 20. And I just thought, well, it's just something's going on here with the server, or it's really busy. There's not a lot of people playing solos, and just went on to bed or something like that. And, got up the next day, went to go into a solos match, same things going on. It just, we've all had it take a while, but this isn't going at all. I'm talking 15 minutes of sitting there, just waiting. And I tried all the different models of game, and it would allow me to get into to quads resurgence. And I got in there, and I had to be on a team. So I got to talk to a couple people, and I intended to ask someone, does anybody else feel like their account, that's in this lobby, feels like their account might have something going on? But it just wasn't that. People weren't real friendly, right in the group that I got stuck with. And
now that kind of makes sense now that in retrospect. So I go on, and this goes on for a few days. Like I can only play that, and even that takes a while to load, and still can't get into a solos match. And I start reading about hold on
this problem.
No, hold on now. I want to backtrack real quick, because right about at this point, ladies and gentlemen, right about at this point, Chuck T reaches out to me and says, "Ovox, I think something's going on with my Warzone account. I think I'm getting monitored, or I'm under review. I think my account's been suspended." And I'm not gonna lie. I was my first Chuck T, you're already laughing. In the back of my brain, I'm like, man, I don't know about that. That doesn't sound right to me. I think maybe Chuck T's on glue or something. But smoking the pipe. But so I wasn't 100% sure. It didn't make any sense to me. And you described to me that you couldn't find any solo matches, and I was just, my brain went into well, how would this normally work? What's the logical process when something like this would happen? I'm like, well, they'd reach out to you. They'd send you an email. Why don't you call them? Did you do anything in particular that may have been considered cheating? And I remember we had like a 10-minute, 15-minute conversation about it. And basically we all, at that point, I was just kind of like, well, sure, it could be. It could be. Mm-hmm. And I think I remember telling you, well, you should give him a call.
Yeah.
Ring.
Yeah. I, as I remember, you just directly said, I think you're smoking crack, is what you said. And I think it was love. Oscar Wilde that said, your real friends stab you in the front. I did consider you a real friend. He doesn't hold a lot of punches, folks. I mean, when it comes to Chuck T.
Well, guys. We're not that good. I don't know why Activision would put either of us in any, and this didn't happen to me, but I'm just, with much love, that's kind of like my initial thought was, I don't think so. It just didn't make sense to me. And if they had, I figured that they would have reached out to you in some regard, but I didn't know that they sent you that text code thing either. So,
and it didn't really say anything about, being banned. It just said, we need you to do this to log back in. But yeah, something was strange was afoot for sure at the Circle K right there. And so I went through that process, and then, I did my research before I mentioned it to you, because I knew it wasn't going to be, easy to get this point across. And your reaction was like I expected, and you hit me with a lot of the normal things, like start your router, like what it had said to do, sort of in the instructions there. Have you done this? Have you done that? And you sort of pointed out probably isn't a lot of people playing solos, and I knew in the back of my mind, and to really fully show my thoughts, it did cross my mind, did Ryan and did they accidentally report me? It never crossed my mind that somebody did it intentionally.
I would never report you, Chuck T, unless there was a button for being a savage.
Yeah,
Report
I
this
just
player
thought,
for being a savage.
maybe accidentally, it's like you're just jamming it in there and like for whatever reason didn't notice
damn.
that it would, but as I start researching this, like I started typing in, Warzone can't find match, still searching for match, and you start seeing folks going through this problem. One simple fix is like your phone number needs to be updated. But I went through the support system of Blizzard, which runs the servers for Activision, as I understand it. And when you finally get to the answers in there, it tells you that this is handled by Activision. Like enforcement and security is handled by Activision. So that ultimately led me to Activision. And you get there and it's kind of like support. And then it's like, what game do you need help with? Warzone. What kind of problem are you having? Is it a performance problem? Is it a security problem? There's like 4 choices. You pick that. Mm-hmm. It kind of takes you through this tree of sorts, and at the end of that, it doesn't really allow you to report anything. And the only options, if you try all the options, you can get to one that says that if you've been banned, you can appeal it. But once you hit on that actual appeal button, it tells you right away that temporary bans cannot be appealed, and so you're sort of stuck. And you start researching and finding videos and whatnot, and you see this has happened to people. And I still don't know for sure that it happened to me, but I know I had some of the symptoms going on for it, and weren't really having any problems with any other games that would have pointed towards it being something with my router or those sorts of things.
No, and your name, your gamer tag isn't offensive at all. I mean, compared to a lot of gamer tags I've seen out there.
Yeah. And it's important that you point that out, because there are other things that you can get banned for than just like killing too many people or something that that you could say something inappropriate or something in those natures, and I mean, you were on the game with me, nothing like that happened really, but
we certainly don't cheat. I mean, I would say we're probably right in the category of a normal Warzone player. We're like a standard in terms of how good we are. Just we're regular old players. We're not horrible, but we're not getting the blue ribbon wins every single session either. So
well, and I have to admit too, like when I saw the word Shadowbanned, like I immediately go to nonsense. Like this is BS. I've seen that people talk about being Shadowbanned on TikTok and different things, and I'm always just sort of raising an eyebrow. Like,
did you type in, was I Shadowbanned on Warzone?
Yeah, and you start doing that after a while, and you start seeing like that's sort of what led to that Tim the Tatman video, and in that video, he interviews this guy or he ends up spectating a guy, as we mentioned earlier, and ultimately they have an interview at the end of the game where he talks about being shadow banned. And what had happened in his case is he was actually really good. Like Tim the Tatman was calling him a demon. He was like, this guy's just annihilating this lobby.
I know, that was funny. He's like, he was a demon. This is a level 1 demon.
Yeah. And he's like, this is a brand new account. Like, how can this be? And so he asked him, to kind of chat in the post game lobby. And the guy says, yeah, like I'm really good, and I get several kills, and I think he was getting like those high level kill streaks, like where you're in a plane, and you can see how like I think he says little Johnny is playing, and all of a sudden he feels like he's gotten aimbotted because he got shot from across the map by a plane,
but the plane's just OP, man.
Yeah,
it's overpowered.
And he reports you, and if enough people do that, ultimately you get put in this review type scenario. And I read another article where when cheating was kind of at its worst in Warzone, like kind of before they did the ricochet thing and put the mannequins out and all that, like they had to do something. And what they did is
the mannequins? I'm sorry for stopping you. What's the mannequins thing?
As I understand it, that's how the ricochet works. They've put those all over the map, and that aimbot is attracted to them somehow. Yeah.
Okay. You got to tell me about that sometime, man. All right.
I
Sorry
don't know
for stopping
a ton about
flow.
it, but I do know that's one of the ways that works. But
So
anyhow,
yeah, when Warzone was at its worst,
they had to do something, and what they created was this sort of under review lobbies of sorts. And so anybody that has been reported enough times or for whatever reason is suspected of any kind of breaking the rules of conduct, instead of just immediately banning you, they put you in a group of folks in similar situations, and they'll put you in a lobby together, and it is the lobby from hell, dude. I was actually parachuting in while I was playing that lobby, and I wasn't floating, I was diving, and a guy like I was almost like parallel to the ground, like zipping across, and he's got an SMG, and he just points it toward the sky and takes me out. And I mean, you're just kind of like,
you were flying like perpendicular, straight to the ground.
No, I was flying like more flat, like kind of horizontal. I may have said perpendicular, but
no, you didn't.
Yeah, kind of parallel to the ground, like he just ripped me a
laser
new one.
beamed you.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, and they mentioned, this is the lobby from hell, and I have to say, like everyone was just, I don't know, they just weren't super nice, like acting in there, like it wasn't about like together. Some guy was like, "Give me your money, orange," and like, and I was just like, but yeah, so. I do think during that time I was kind of in that review thing. The one thing that makes me think not is about everyone, including that guy in the Tim the Tap Man video, says it lasts for 7 days. And I've heard cases like where it lasts 14 days or lasts, a month and that kind of situation. But for me, it seemed to last about 5 days. And I checked it every day, and just one day I could get back in. And, that's pretty much the end of that. And I have to say, dude, it was an incredibly helpless feeling, like to know that you've done nothing wrong and you've paid in like to these games, and to just simply want to sit down and play. Like I just had gotten a new computer. Like I wanted to play, besides just playing with you guys, I wanted to play my solo matches, and it just hurt somehow, but I tried to think about, they have to do something. They have to, but it would have been great to be able to know. And as I could tell, like I saw some like Reddit type articles where people had been able to figure out that they were shadow banned, but I couldn't find it. I could not like get an answer of any sorts. And the thing I kept hearing is there's nothing you can do. You've just got to wait it out.
That's what it looks like, man. I mean, I didn't even, like I said, I was hesitant of this because it just, like, at first, to me, it seemed like them putting you into lobbies with other potential cheaters seemed like, it didn't seem like it didn't seem like that would be their policy in dealing with this. I was like, oh, that's cool that they would just put cheaters in with cheaters and let them all just get effed, so I didn't think Activision would be that badass enough to do something like that. You know what I mean? I didn't think that would be a part of the, I figured they'd just like email someone, "You've been suspected of cheating," and blah, 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 very formal, not that this isn't, but a very like square process. That's why I was telling you, you should just email them or call them or check your email or whatever. Like I was, per standard other, like how they deal with it in other companies. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until you shared the article with me from support.activision.com where it literally says here, definitions, account under review. If a player is, and I'm quoting from their website here, if a player is suspected of violating this policy, their account may be put under review to determine if any infractions occurred. Accounts under review may be matched with other accounts similarly under review. When the review is concluded, the account will either be returned to normal matchmaking, there it is, or it may receive a temporary or permanent suspension. So there it is, clear as day.
And to me, as I spent a lot of time thinking about this, and I tried to sort of think of an avenue I had to get at them, and it kept coming back to my mind that I had spent money on, like I actually own Vanguard and these things, and it's kind of weird that I'm not being allowed to do this. I'm sure I've agreed to it somewhere in the terms or something, but I sort of noticed that the fact that you're not actually being stopped, it's just really been slowed down and put you in a different lobby, sort of answers that question. It's not exactly like they've took it away from you. They've just altered it a little bit. And, you know, I felt like that was possibly to hedge their bets a little bit, but,
I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of cool that they do that, I guess. Instead of just completely cutting you off if you're suspected of cheating, they allow you to continue to play to some extent, even if you're in a lobby with other potential cheaters. And it probably helps them determine much more efficiently if you're cheating or not. Because like if, let's say, you know, let's just assume that was happening to you and you're in this lobby with 10 other players and 8 of them are cheating, 2 of them, 1 being you. It's going to be very clear that you guys aren't, you two, you know, the 2 that aren't cheating. So they're going to see like all these other 8 players using aimbot, or they can see you through walls or whatever the cheat they're using is, or the advantage they're taking, you know, you're getting. It'll be identified much quicker than if they just suspended all of you. You know, you're all out. And then they got to go case by case and figure out, you know, and I don't even know how they would probably go about that. And what would they do? Just completely close you out, make you start a new account entirely? So it might actually be like, I'm okay with it. And if I ever get blasted by some, you know, little kid or something that's super angry or whatever at me, and they just keep reporting me for some sort of form of cheating or boosting or whatever, you know how there's like a few options in that list when you report someone, and then Activision decides to put me into like review. Hey, you know, as long as they're doing that and they're actively working on getting cheaters out of that game, which they'll never be able to do entirely, but it's certainly a lot better than it was in that heyday of cheating that they had when what was it, Verdansk was still the main map. Ooh.
Yeah, and I saw someone made the comment that, you know, at least you can kind of keep yourself warm at night knowing that cheaters are in that lobby from hell, you know, having to live with that, and it's tough on them. But I will say, like, as I think about just enforcement and security and justice in the world, like, I think the standard is of sorts that we would rather see 10 criminals go free than punish an innocent man. And, you know, especially when it comes to things like the death penalty. And I mean, you can pretty much say that when your account has been banned, it's similar to a death penalty of sorts. I mean, there's hundreds of hours in those guns that I've you know, unlocked in there. Yeah, it felt heavy-handed. I can't help but think that probably they had to do that, and maybe in their original setup that they did err on that side of not punishing the innocent in any case, and cheaters were just having a field day, like you say, in Verdansk. I mean, it got to a point where that was, you know, obviously happening, and you know, one of the ways I saw is like the streamers will point out that when there's only like you're on the second circle and there's only, you know, 30 people left on the map, that obviously somebody's cheating. Like, it just doesn't go like this. Like, you know, they've played thousands of games and they know, you know, kind of at the second circle, there should be around 50, 60 people. And, you know, when ultimately, if you play long enough, you'll get killed by them, and you can spectate them. And I've even seen them, you know, we talked about this once before where they interviewed an actual cheater. And,
yeah, I remember that.
But yeah, it was a tough experience all the way around, and I'm kind of like you. At least they're doing something, and I tried to be objective and not, you know, get butthurt about it. But I will say there were some moments, and especially, you know, I didn't want to be that dude, you know, that's like, hey man, like, man, I've been shadowbanned. Like, you know, it's like I just, you know, when I hear
you
that
were
crap,
that dude, man. That's how I was looking at you when you first told me. Like, oh, come on, Chuck, you didn't get shadowbanned, man. What are you talking about? And then I read that, and I was like, oh shit, I kind of owe him an apology.
Well, yeah.
And I did. I said I was sorry. You were right.
You did, and I didn't hold it against you, and you know, but I did know what you know now when we had that conversation, and had to just kind of be like, okay, maybe, like,
yeah, sure, Ovox.
and I pointed out, like, all I really want to do is play. You know, I just want to play. Like I don't, you know, I don't have to be right on this one, like, you know, or whatever. I just want to play, and that's, you know, once I could play again, it's kind of over. I mean, it's fun to talk about it here, and interesting to see, that it's happening other places, and I can see how. And I mean,
yeah, I think it's just if you play Warzone a lot, just stay away from anything that could be considered cheating. And we don't know what it was that set their alarms off for you and for your account, or if it was a bunch of people reporting you, who knows why? It's hard to say. And again, I mean, like you said, you're not 100% sure that this occurred to you, but it is 100% a real thing. Mm-hmm. And I think if you play Warzone, now that we've checked this out, go on to Google, check it out. Just type in Call of Duty Security and Enforcement Policy. It'll come up somewhere. And the very first thing it says, and I'm quoting from their deal here, all infractions undergo a thorough review process by the security team before enforcement. Before enforcement. So they put you in review before enforcement. You were in review. And they had you in those hell lobbies. So that's before they enforce in their description here. The account holder is responsible for any infraction on the account. We apply penalties no matter who was playing at the time. Active enforcements are tied to Activision accounts and are implemented across all devices linked to the account. Cheating, modding, hacking will not be tolerated. This part's important because I think players could fall into this without really knowing that they are going to be looked at as cheaters. And it's good that they put this here. It says, avoid tutorials and services that offer ways to modify your camo or other game content. Anything that suggests altering the memory on your console or PC in order to acquire new gear, items, loadouts, or other game content is considered cheating. We will enforce accordingly. Mm-hmm. I could see a lot of people potentially falling into something like that. We're like, oh, okay, well, this isn't cheating. It's just another service. It's just another product that's affiliated to Warzone, and they'll get sold on something that's not necessarily true. And then it's, they're not affiliated or whatever. And they're, whatever the case may be. And then they get reported. If you look at the page, there's a bunch of things. They've got review periods, minor offenses, temporary suspensions, permanent suspensions, and extreme offenses. Spoofing, circumventing security, unauthorized software, pirated content, unsupported peripherals and applications, boosting, glitching, griefing, offensive behavior, improperly obtained downloads, unlockable content, decompiling or reverse engineering of game data. I mean, watch out. Yeah. Cuidado, güey. Ojo, cabrón.
Precaución.
Precaución.
Muy peligroso.
Get that hitter. Oh, man.
This is Spanish you learn while driving roads in Mexico.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's raining right now.
It was a heck of an experience, and I hope I don't go through it again. And I don't really hold it against him. I know one of my takeaways from it is that is a darn good game, because there was a moment where I was just like, screw Warzone, I'll just play. Fuck. There's nothing else. What am I going to play? Battlezone or Battlefield? Like,
not anymore.
2042. Like, yeah. I mean, I had that moment where I was like, well, screw them.
Hell with them.
I'll just play. Dang. Like, and then my next thought was like I saw somewhere one surefire way to tell is if you could open another account on your same computer and get in there and you can get in, for sure that first one's being Shadowbanned. I started through that process, and you get to a place where they want a phone number, and it has to be a unique phone number. And I'd already used that other phone. And I thought to myself, like, I wonder if they have something in here that is watching what you do once you've been put under review, and like they see that you just tried to open another account with that same email, and that might be another mark against you. I thought, well, there's another week in the lobby from hell for trying that. But I thought about using my mom's phone number at one point.
No, don't get mom, man. What if she's calls you someday? What the heck?
Yeah.
Of course I play Warzone.
Yeah. I just had to take it, man. And it was frustrating. I played Ark is really how I dealt with it. But yeah, it's out there. And, you know, I think it's just part of the reality of what we've got to go through to keep the cheaters out of the game. And man, I just don't see where that motivation comes from. And I wish it didn't exist, but live and learn.
Live and learn, man. It's all good. Yeah. Hey, if anyone from Activision ever happens to hear this, I promise, Chuck T is not a cheater. He's an angel with blue eyes and a southern accent.
And been playing Activision games since I was a kid, so I'm with you guys. We're on the same team here.
Right on. Well, hey, I think we should start wrapping this one up. Do you have any final comments on all of these wonderful topics we've covered today?
No, I think I'm going to go work on my PlayStation wagon here and
start pimping your ride.
Yeah, I think so. No, I've enjoyed this episode, man. This was fun. I hope everyone enjoys it too and is doing well out there and catches us on the next one.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to say this before we go. Wild card. Keep it going like you had it. Don't mess with the original DNA of Ark Survival Evolved. You got a winning formula. Just take out all the glitches and give us another amazing survival experience. And Activision, keep it up. Fight off those cheaters. We hate them. They suck. They ruin our experience as amazing, as huge fans of Warzone and all of those Call of Duty games. We love them. Chuck T is definitely not a cheater. You don't need to put him in review. And yeah, that's about it. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Chuck T, thanks for your time, man. I love you.
Yeah, I love you too, brother. Thanks for your time as well. And see you guys on the next one.
All right. Thanks, everyone.